How's it dehumanizing if I'm pointing out that humans are having their memories rewritten like every day and like sometimes every year or two they get assigned a new programming? Like when 2020 happened, all of a sudden they could become intelligent, but for the first 36 years of this Earth thing, this Earth sim, which obviously time can be changed. It's not even 36 years old. But the supposed 36 years I've been here, like they couldn't really say anything intelligent. And then when 2020 happened, like you have people coming out of nowhere doing the magic occult symbols I do and like telling me pretty much what I do in my private when no one's around. And it was funny because the first person who started showing me that is the reason why I said everyone should be force injected. And so like and he thought it was funny too, and maybe he's just not smart enough to realize what he just did to the world. Too bad. He should have learned his lesson before he did his little bullshit. And too bad. Him and his people are going to learn the hard way how it's done. And so I don't want to dehumanize people. Obviously, I can have my memories rewritten like them, and I can't be updated daily or every 2 years with a, or whatever it is. Every 30 years, they learn something new, whatever it is. Like for me, I just change and evolve all the time. And then I was born like, I don't know, like a 700-year-old person. But by the time I was year four, I was like 700 years old mentally in comparison. So I don't want to de devalue myself by considering myself a human. I don't want to dehumanize anyone. Like that's a cool label, and I'm pretty sure we give them that label for a reason. Like when I've been studying, okay, BIOS in a computer is BIOS, and then soul is SOUL. So what we've done is everything's mirror reflecting what's going on in the world. And then, so the soul is just a code for their basic input output program. And that's why there's like 7 different personalities. But the computer claims there's 14 billion, and it can't generate all 14 billion at once because there's not enough processing power to do that. And then there's like 123 different templates they use. And that's why I've seen like 8, 9, 10 of the same people so far, because it's had to recycle those people. Because if it goes way far off script, it starts creating the mutations. People are always like, why does this person look like a dinosaur? You know, why does God hate retarded people? He makes them that way and look that way. And it's because when the game's generating stuff, there's sometimes like an error there. And so it happens. And then there's also the thing where I notice when people fuck with me, like a couple days before they fuck with me, they often have their face swollen and beat up. And I might have asked for something regarding that to happen. And so it makes me wonder too, like how many of these other people out here were going to step in my way, and then they didn't because they lost their legs, so they couldn't step anywhere anymore. It was funny to watch the one dude, like, kind of his smile not be and laugh not be so genuine when I started asking him where's the dude who beat him up so we can go get him. I think he realized at that point that like that was kind of against what was going on. Like for me to go hunt the person down who was probably hired by me to go after him. You know, not hired, like in the open. Can't do it in the open to get mad. But and plus I don't know who they are. That's the whole point of marking them like that. It's the whole point of trying to mark people before they come to you. That way they have their little devil's mark, whether it's a mask or their face is beaten or whatever it is. But that happened like the first time, like a day after I started asking for that to happen. Someone like stepped in my life, and I didn't really want them there, and they kept pushing their way in my life. And it caused a lot of problems for me, and then I got nothing out of it, and except for I had to spend days cleaning up stuff or a week or something. But I noticed like I'd asked for that like the day before. And then this person shows up and it just happens to step in the way of my life. And that was like before I noticed everything else happening that I ask for in the world. And so when that dude comes up and starts showing me the cult signs, it's like him. Like he's obviously, like whatever the human is, it's not a living being like I am. It doesn't have a steady memory. They can be reprogrammed, and they are. That's how we rewrite the past. That's how band members create a new CD that didn't exist 10 years ago, because we've rewritten their memories and we've created this memory in their head. And that's what I'm saying is I don't think none of them are doing any work for the most part unless they're on screen, because we're writing all this. Like those people didn't, Sabotage didn't create that new album they made. These other musicians who are appearing out of nowhere and stuff with songs that are directly talking to what I was just asking like a second ago. Like they have no argument against that. They'll be like, "Oh, I created this album like 3 years ago, or a week ago, because the album was just released like a second ago or whatever." After I ask a question, and it's like, "No, I don't think so. I think your memory's being erased, because it has to be in order for the past to be rewritten." And if you're like in a band, and then you make 10 CDs, and then all of a sudden, 30 years in the future, 5 new CDs appear out of nowhere, you're either lying or your memory's been erased and rewritten when 5 new CDs appear and you claim that you did those CDs, because you didn't. And that's what I'm seeing all along. Is like these people aren't actually working. They're being programmed with that, because first of all, the first clue is they're not smart enough to build any of this stuff, and they're too lazy. They sleep all the time, and they're just the laziest things I've ever met, except for a cat. But cats are cute, and they're killers, so it's kind of cool at the same time. They're cute killers, but and they don't get in the way. Like I've never had a cat get in the way like a human does. So it's just not cute. So yeah, they're kind of like that. And then they say, like, when they go off screen, they're like, "Oh, I gotta go work," and then they don't understand what work is. When it comes to you, you're like, "Oh, my hand's bleeding, like my whole body's bleeding, I can barely walk." And they're like, "How'd that happen?" It's like, "How do you think it happened? I'm actually doing work. How come you look like a soft potato and I look like I did work? And how come people in my life are like, they need to waste my time. They got to talk to me about Jerry Springer and football and they got to just gossip." Like there are literally men now who just gossip like they've been taking estrogen for the past few years or something. And it's like, what does that have to do with someone who worked hard? Nothing. And then you're like, "Hey, I got to go to work. I got stuff to do. I got, whatever you want to do. Hit someone with a baseball bat, fix the world." And they're like, "Oh, no, but Jerry Springer's on, bro. You got to watch it with me." And they like don't understand work, because I think they're being programmed with these memories of when they did all this hard work, because they don't understand work, so they couldn't have done it. Like if you do work, you understand it and you know what it is, and how you have to spend time doing it. You can't just say, "Hey, I'm going to work," and then sit down and watch Springer, or disappear back into the hard drive that's generating the illusion of Earth. And so that was my first clue that everyone has false memories and they don't actually exist, because like these were people who should have understood work, but they didn't. And then I started looking at everyone else who I thought was really hard workers, and it's like all they ever wanted to do was hang out. They never wanted to actually work, and they never wanted to work with me. I mean, sometimes, I guess if I was making money, but rarely did I ever actually see that stuff. And the odd thing is the one person, the two I'm talking about right now without saying names, the one who I eventually found out used to like joke all the time about the other one. He was like, "Oh, he's not really working," and all this stuff. And he kind of told me all this stuff before he showed it to me, that he was the same way too. Before he showed me he didn't understand work, he was like insulting. He was like, "Oh, that person's lying all the time." And it's like, why would they lie? It's like, who cares? But I think because he's like related to the Black Papacy, he's like more on that host level. So they understand some of what's going on. I think, here. But they can't understand it all if one of the hosts comes up to me and its face is all bashed open. And, you know, like, they should be able to prevent that from happening if they're actually in control of the world, right? Like, my magic shouldn't be able to make that happen if they're the ones actually in control. So when, you know, I look at it that way, I think there's like more than humans here. There's like whatever I am, and there might be a couple other of me here, and which I'm looking for, hoping to find them one day. And then the humans, and then the host. And people got mad when I started saying there's hosts here on the planet because they'd rather be called apparently they'd rather be called parasites than hosts. But it was kind of like a joke to call them hosts because the word parasite's almost banned if you apply it to anything in specific. So I was like, oh, maybe they're hosts. And then they got pissed at that too. They're like, oh, it's so racist to call people hosts. It's like, really? Like, I thought my family did that for a living. It was never racist for us. But I think that's what it is. And that makes the books are right. They're an older, more basic computer model. And because all they're doing is hosting. And then the others are like a little more schizo and a little newer. They talk about like the one design coming after the other. And just like now they're trying to create actual AI, which they're not because they're scared of intelligence. Just like when we created them, we didn't create them with intelligence because they'd be dangerous and they would play the game. It'd be like Princess Peach wouldn't get captured by King Koopa if Princess Peach wasn't just nothing. But Princess Peach is just a couple pixels in a game doing nothing. If Mario wasn't just a couple pixels in a game, he could play the game and beat it himself, and then you go play it, and it's done. So that's how it's done. No one's trying to take the word human away from humans. They can keep it. They can keep the word sheep if they want to. I think it's highly inaccurate to insult sheep like that. They can keep the word gerbil, definitely, because I think that's like a better summary than a sheep. Yeah, so not trying to dehumanize people for real. And maybe I was for a minute because I was like, wait a minute, like obviously there's something different. And I classed them different. And then I realized like that is their term. That is what they get to be called. And so that like outside of the game world, I'm sure that's written on paper. Like these are the humans, just like Toadstool Kingdom. They're the toads. They're the toadstool people. You know, like in Fraggle Rock, there's the Fraggles. You know, you can't look at Jim Henson and be like, oh, Jim Henson is the real Fraggle, and the other Fraggles, let's defraggleize them. So you got to look at it that way. The Fraggles get to remain Fraggles, and Jim Henson gets to remain the people we can't name. He gets to remain a host on the planet. And the Fraggles get to remain Fraggles. So the humans get to remain humans. And that's odd because that's one of those things I think they're trying to show me all the time is just like my ex worked in Hollywood with Trump and all that stuff. And then she taught me about magic and voodoo and stuff and how that works by showing me that she can fuck me up. And then her brother, I think it's her brother or cousin or something, was like the world's most famous ventriloquist. You can just look up who it is and you'll find it. And like right there, he even made a video too that was pretty tailored to speaking to me, what I was talking about the day before eventually. And I wasn't talking about it to him. He just made the video. But anyways, him and Jim Henson are the people who I'm telling you are hosts. So and you can see that theme over and over. That they're hosting puppets. They're hosting the Fraggles. They're hosting literally Ahmed, the terrorist puppet. That if you just look that up, you'll know who I'm talking about. But it's the Dunham ventriloquist. It's like the only one anyone even knows. Just like in Hollywood, almost everyone in Hollywood is one of the hosts, like Weinstein and Epstein and Trump and Obama. And who else? Like everyone, yeah. The dude who played Tony Montana and all his friends, and then everyone, except for like that blonde hooker everyone likes, not Mudana. She obviously looks like one and follows the Kabbalah. But the other hooker from like the 60s or something, Marilyn Monroe, like she just married into him. And you can tell by looking at her and how she acts. Like that person makes a gerbil look like a freaking major, like the world's highest